The blizzard had turned the Siberian forest into a white hell. Lieutenant Commander Ryan Hayes pressed himself against the frozen rock, his breath coming in shallow gasps that crystallized instantly in the -40-degree air. His SEAL team was supposed to be ghosts, invisible operators who slipped in and out of hostile territory without a trace. Instead, they were pinned down, surrounded by Russian mercenaries who knew these mountains like their own backyard, and running out of options fast. "Viper 6, this is Viper 1, Ryan whispered into his radio, trying to keep his voice steady despite the cold eating through his gear. Before we continue, let me know in the comments where you're watching from right now. I love connecting with viewers from around the world. We are pinned down, coordinates already sent. 4 hostiles on the ridge, unknown number in the valley, ammunition critical. Requesting immediate exfil." The silence that followed felt longer than the 3 seconds it actually was. When the response came, it wasn't what he expected. "Viper 1, exfil is 12 hours out due to weather. Asset is moving to your position. Call sign Winter. ETA 20 minutes. Ryan looked at his teammate, Petty Officer Marcus Webb, whose face was already showing signs of frostbite. 20 minutes? "We'll be frozen corpses in 20 minutes. And what asset?" "There's no one else out here." Another burst of gunfire ricocheted off the rocks above them. The mercenaries were closing in, using the storm as cover just as effectively as the SEALs had planned to. Ryan's team had been sent to extract a defector with intelligence on Russian black operations, but the mission had gone sideways the moment they'd crossed into the exfil zone. Someone had sold them out, and now 4 of America's best were about to become casualties in a war that officially didn't exist. "Viper 1, stay low. Winter is Oscar Mike." The radio went silent again. Ryan did the math in his head. 4 SEALs, maybe 30 rounds between them, temperatures that would kill them faster than bullets, and an unknown asset, probably some CIA analyst with a laptop supposedly coming to save them. He'd been in bad situations before, but this felt like the end. Marcus was already losing feeling in his fingers. Jenkins had taken a round through his calf and was bleeding through the makeshift tourniquet. Chun was the only one still at full capacity, and even he looked like he was running on fumes. Then, through the howling wind and sheets of snow, Ryan saw something that made him question whether hypothermia was causing hallucinations. A figure emerged from the storm, moving with impossible grace through conditions that would have stopped a polar bear. The figure was small, wrapped in white winter camouflage that made them nearly invisible against the blizzard, carrying a rifle that looked too large for their frame. The figure stopped 30 meters away, dropped into a prone position on the snow, and that's when Ryan heard it. Not the crack of a rifle, the storm-swallowed sound, but the wet thump of a body hitting frozen ground. Then another. And another. If you're enjoying this story so far, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It helps more people discover these incredible stories. 4 shots in less than 6 seconds, each one finding a target Ryan's team couldn't even see through the storm. The figure stood close the distance to their position in seconds, and when she pulled back her hood, Ryan found himself staring at a woman who couldn't have been more than 30, with ice crystals frozen in her dark hair, and eyes that looked like they'd been forged in this exact kind of hell. "Winter?" Ryan managed through chattering teeth. "Captain Sofia Volkov," she said in perfect English with just a trace of an accent. "Former Russian Special Operations. Current freelancer for people who pay better. Your defector is my asset too. I have a vested interest in keeping him alive, which means keeping you alive." She glanced at Jenkins. "Your man needs medical attention." "Can he walk?" "Barely," Ryan admitted. Sophia slung her rifle and pulled out a satellite phone with cold weather modifications Ryan had never seen before. She spoke rapidly in Russian, then switched back to English. "Extraction moved up. We have a window in 40 minutes when the storm breaks. But we need to move now, and we have approximately 15 more hostiles between us and the LZ. 15? Marcus croaked. "We can't fight through 15. Sophia's smile was cold as the air around them. "You don't have to." "I didn't come alone." She raised her hand and made a series of quick gestures. From the storm emerged 3 more figures, all dressed identically, all moving with the same predatory efficiency. "My team specializes in impossible extractions. Consider this a professional courtesy." What happened over the next 30 minutes became a story Ryan would tell only to people with the highest security clearances. Sophia's team moved through the Siberian wilderness like they were born to it, eliminating targets with a precision that made Ryan's SEAL training look almost amateur. Sofia herself took down 6 more mercenaries with shots that defied physics, bullets that curved through wind gusts that found targets hidden behind trees and rocks that landed exactly where they needed to despite conditions that would have made Olympic shooters give up. When the helicopter finally appeared through the breaking storm, Ryan and his team were alive, the defector was secure, and 15 Russian mercenaries were scattered across the mountainside, never knowing what hit them. As they lifted off, Ryan sat across from Sofia, who was calmly cleaning her rifle as if she'd just come back from a training exercise. "Why?" Ryan asked. "Why risk your life for us?" Sofia looked up, and for the first time, he saw something other than professional efficiency in her eyes. He saw pain, old and deep. "Because 6 years ago I was the defector. An American team extracted me from Moscow when my own government wanted me dead for refusing an illegal order. They didn't have to risk their lives for me, but they did. One of them died getting me out." She paused, her voice dropping. "I can never repay that debt. But I can make sure other people get the same chance I did." Ryan felt something shift in his chest. He'd spent his entire career seeing the world in simple terms: us versus them, allies versus enemies, black and white. But Sofia existed in the gray spaces, fighting not for flags or countries but for the principle that some things mattered more than borders. She'd given up everything: her country, her identity, her past, to live by a code that said certain lines should never be crossed. "The shot you made," Ryan said. "The first one through the storm at that range. How's that even possible?" Sofia smiled slightly. "In Siberia, we have a saying. The storm doesn't care about impossible. It only cares about who respects it. I grew up in these conditions, Lieutenant Commander. This isn't hell to me. This is home. And you don't survive home by following what's possible. You survive by doing what's necessary." When they landed at the forward operating base, Sofia and her team disappeared before the debriefing even started. Ryan wrote his report, leaving out details that would endanger the people who'd saved his life. He never saw Sofia again, but 6 months later, he received an unmarked envelope containing a single photograph: Sofia and 3 other people standing in front of a sunrise, somewhere warm and far from snow. On the back, written in neat handwriting, were 3 words: "We all survive." This story reminds us that heroes don't always wear the uniforms we expect, don't always fight for the flags we recognize, and don't always fit the definitions we've been taught. Sometimes the people who save us are the ones who've already lost everything, who understand the cost of freedom because they've paid it personally, who fight, not for glory but for the simple belief that everyone deserves a chance to live. If this story touched something in you, if it expanded your understanding of courage and sacrifice, I'd be deeply grateful if you'd subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Share this with someone who needs to remember that the world isn't always black and white, that heroes come from unexpected places, and that sometimes the strongest among us are those who've learned to survive impossible odds. Your support means everything and helps these stories reach the people who need to hear them. Until next time, stay open to the unexpected, honor the gray warriors who fight in the shadows, and remember that survival is its own kind of victory. Thank you for watching.